So boom, a couple days ago, I did a video about Quentin hating on Cooley, this guy on the left, from the No Fugazi podcast and stuff like that. Now, unlike Quentin, I can articulate exactly what I don't like about certain individuals and stuff like that. And there are some things that I don't like about him that we will get into later. But he runs a pretty good show. I'm not a hater. That's the difference. But with this, this was a video in the Anton Daniels video that was like the most recent video that he did. And I'm familiar with Mr. LetGo to an extent. So I'm like, let me check it out on some leisure shit. Let me tell you, I just think this is probably going to be the worst fucking debate that I watch all year. And I'm going to highlight certain parts of it. So shout out to both of them for making this content, but put a like on the vid. We gon' not dissect it too much. There are two key moments, but I'm just gonna let you see the first part before we get into some of the other stuff, because it's like a 24-minute video. We not gonna watch the whole vid. So I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to a minute of the beginning, just so you can get where they're going, what they're doing.
This young lady is speaking from perception, like you said, right? Her perception is her actual reality. So what she sees is what she thinks is actually going on, okay? When you come back and say, people should appreciate a man for working a job and letting the mother stay home, you're using the word should, which is your perspective. So when it comes to, because you said you coach people, I coach women. When you're talking to an actual one person and not a crowd of people or a chat, right? You're talking to an actual person. It's important for you as a coach, because you said you coach people.
I coach men and women.
Gotcha. You coach people. So as a coach, we both are coaches. We both are fathers. So from a father standpoint and from a coaching standpoint, it is important for you to hear that person's perspective and their perception. And this is the reason why.
Well, I don't think you understand what perception and perspective mean. You're like speaking in but you didn't.
So boom, that right there. Cooley, he is a aggressive cutoffer. And he really, I've watched a lot of debates that he has had. He will, if he wants to speak, he's going to speak immediately at that moment. Fuck what you got to say. And he is going to talk over you and dominate the conversation. But let's continue.
You're not speaking. Nothing that you said was correct. You're getting perspective and perception incorrect.
I'm almost done, sir. This woman, like I said, from her perception, her dad was a bad person because he did not pay attention to her. This is what I said in my video. This is an opportunity for her to be acknowledged, for her to be heard. You cut her off in that video.
I'm going to stop it there, man. Listen, through most of this clip, through most of the 24 minutes, Mr. LetGo is doing two things. Number one, he is saying some nonsensical bullshit. Let's just get that out. He is saying some nonsensical bullshit. But the second thing he is doing is he is playing the semantics game. You're going to, I'll show you. We won't even talk about it. I'll show you.
And you didn't play the whole video the second time, and it's okay. The thing about it is, a person's perception is her reality. Give her her reality. Let her be heard.
I have a question real quick.
If she feels like her dad did wrong by not being there, not being around, not paying her attention, not acknowledging her, see that.
Okay, question for you. So you just said that a person's perception is the person's reality. I agree. Because a person's perception is their interpretation of the world around them. It's very unique to them, right? So if a man feels like a woman and that's his perception, would you acknowledge that? Would you say, "Oh, well, yeah, you're a woman. You could be a woman." This is what I'm saying. What your mind frame is lunacy. Your mind frame leads.
Now I got to stop here on the second thing that I don't like, Trey, which is you see he begins to raise his voice, start yelling, getting excited for no reason. Now that's fine to some degree in a discussion. I've had a bunch of heated debates where people have began to yell. It's unnecessary, but I'm going to show you why that's a problem at the end. So just put a pin in that.
I'm going to repeat it again so you get it clear, because I think you need to take a little dose of the red pill. You haven't really gotten to the red pill. You haven't woke up out of the matrix. You're still in the matrix. Whatever. My whole point is that I look at it from the matrix standpoint. You're going to get a dose of this pill real quick. Whatever you think it is. Whatever you think, you're going to get a dose of the red pill. So listen, a perception is a person's interpretation of the world around them. It's very unique to them. You're telling me that I should have been.
I don't use the word should. Can you stop using the word should?
You just said that I should. You just said that I should. That's what you said in your rebuttal.
No, I didn't.
So, when you come back and say people should appreciate a man for working a job.
So this is the semantics from earlier that I mentioned. So Mr. LetGo quoted Cooley saying the word should. So that's when he said should. He never said the word should as far as what Cooley should or shouldn't do. But what he actually did was gave him what he says later in the video instruction. He told him what to do. He told him, do this in the future instead. Should is semantics. And I'm going to go deeper on that later because it's like, who gives a fuck? What word is it? Like, you're telling him what to do. So regardless whether you said should, Cooley should have just like bypassed that and said like earlier and said, yo, like even if we need to or must or whatever word you want to put, you just told me what to do. That's what you did. So when somebody is playing these semantics games and saying, well, you're not saying exactly what I said, and they won't repeat what they said, and they can't repeat what they said in like one sentence that's less than 30 fucking words, it makes for a low quality debate. And that's how come I really don't like having hostile debates, especially with certain people. I peep certain shit. And certain people have tactics to really debate, like to derail the debate to where it's like we're not even talking about what we were, talking about. This has nothing to do with the topic. You just pretty much took it to another area so you can get a micro win, basically, and just derail the whole shit. But let's continue. Actually, I want to fast forward. We're going to get to two of the key moments in the video that I mentioned. So this is going to be the first key moment.
Thank you. All right. So when I said you can't do that, you said, don't tell me what I can't do, right? I did that on purpose to let you know what women do, all right? What women do is they tell people what they can't do, and what women do is they tell people what they shouldn't do, and that is feminine behavior.
That doesn't make any logical sense of what I said. You said that I shouldn't be using the word should.
Let me finish my statement, sir. I'm a guest on your show.
Okay, but you're saying something that's totally incorrect. You're saying that that's something that women do.
Sir,
no, what you're doing is something that women does.
Sir, I'm a guest on your show. Can you give me the respect?
I've been giving you all the respect, bro. I even changed. We have rules on.
What I'm saying is, for you as a man or for you as a coach, it is lunacy for you to tell a woman what she should be doing. All right. When it comes to her childhood trauma, that is her childhood trauma. That is her life. That is her reality. All right. You don't tell another person what they should be feeling. That is crazy. All right.
Very quickly, I want you to notice he went from you don't tell somebody what they should be doing to telling them how they should feel is lunacy. Understand that doing and feeling are two completely different things. Let's continue.
Oh, I do.
And I'm letting you know as a fellow coach and as a fellow father, because what I make sure to do on social media is these people, some of these people have kids. You have a child. I want to make sure to the best of my ability, all right, to make sure that if you are doing this the same to your kids or to a woman, that you don't do it anymore. All right. See, I look at pushing the word change. I like to help add something to a person's life so they can be better. All right. So what I'm letting you know as a father and as a coach, do not tell a person what they should be doing because it is dismissive. And I keep saying that, but I want you to make sure you're not doing this to your children because we do it. I'm almost done. Okay. I'm almost done. We do what we repeatedly do. I mean, we are what we repeatedly do. Yeah. So when you're on a podcast saying some, you're probably at home with your kids saying somewhat the same thing because our personalities are our personalities. So if you're dismissing this woman's reality, you can possibly be dismissing your child's reality. And one more thing, when it came to King and T.I., I think King is a brat and I think he's out of line in what he's saying. But at the same time, I literally said in that video with King and T.I., make sure you do not dismiss this young man's reality. If he felt like he was traumatized under T.I., can't turn around and say, you should be appreciative of me being a millionaire because that is dismissive. So with you being a father, with you being a coach, please do not do that to people.
Now, see, I'm not going to sit here and be disingenuous. The whole dismissive part, I may agree with that. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to ponder on that for a second. But what he's trying to do with the word should, he's trying to have like a signature move, like how right you had Hadouken. Like he's trying to just have a signature to his coaching and, you know, how he talks to people and things of that nature, because this is clearly nonsensical bullshit when you look at the word should. And the reason I say that is because, first off, the word should is just not universally dismissive. It's just not. If I say I should have crossed him over instead of, you know, passing the ball, like like, what am I dismissing? Like it's just nonsensical. I could give 50 examples of that. I should have turned off the light at home, even though, you know, the light is still on. And the reason I would say that is because it's running up the electric. That's actually more attentive than dismissive. So like it just, that by itself, as far as the word, is nonsensical. But when we look at the context that he put it in, let's look at the King example with T.I. He said, T.I. can't turn around and say, you should be appreciative of me being a millionaire. So let's just look at that sentence very quickly and just analyze that very quickly. He said, T.I. can't turn around and say XYZ. If he says T.I. shouldn't turn around and say XYZ, what is the difference between should and can't, or shouldn't and can't? Not much of a fucking difference when you really think about it. Because when you say that he can't turn around, he actually can turn around and say that shit. You know what? He probably actually did. So that proves that he can turn around and say it. So that would be an inaccuracy, but we could also say could is kind of like should. But listen, I'm not talking to him, so whatever. But listen, we could also say that in this context, he's saying that he can't say that if he doesn't want to be dismissive towards King's feelings and things of that nature. So breaking that down, what does that imply? That implies that if he wants to not be dismissive, if he wants to be accepting of how King feels, telling King that he should be appreciative of his millionaire status would put him in a position where he is not accepting, he is dismissive. So that's the first part. Now, if we replace that with the word should, it's really the same exact shit. Because if we say T.I. shouldn't say that, where does it land us? It lands us in the same exact place. If T.I. wants to be accepting, this is something that he shouldn't do. It lands us in the same exact place. So that's the first thing, just with the sentence. It's cool to maneuver the language and use the language in a different way, but that doesn't mean that what you're saying actually holds weight logically. Now let's take the actual sentence that T.I. said. You should be appreciative of me being a millionaire. You could replace that with you must be appreciative of me being a millionaire. You have to be appreciative of me being a millionaire. You got to be appreciative of me being a billionaire. Anything. You need to be appreciative of me being a millionaire. So now with his theory and stuff like that, because this is all about words that lead to being dismissive, right? All of those words still lead, if that sentiment is dismissive, they all lead to the same thing. No matter how you put it, they all lead to the same place. Just think about this. If I can smack you and I should smack you are not very different. They're not very different. I'm not going in anymore on that because just all of that, all of the should shit is complete bullshit. And all it is him trying to have a signature move as a coach. That is very nonsensical that a fucking idiot is going to eat up a fucking idiot that has paid him $58 an hour or fucking $300 an hour or a rack an hour, whatever they paying. They're going to eat that shit up. Now, as far as him saying the whole dismissive shit, I kind of agree with it as far as, you shouldn't be so quick to dismiss something. It depends on what it is. And I think people should seek to understand personally. I think people should seek to understand certain things like feelings before they just flat out dismiss them. But it depends on the circumstance. Let's go back to the T.I. thing. Even Mr. LetGo admitted that he thinks King is a brat. We all can see it. We all know it. You might not be aware who King is as far as T.I.'s son, but listen, he's a fucking rich brat that wants to be a thug. T.I.'s other kids are not like that at all. But he's having an identity crisis. So when when his son is saying like, I got trauma from growing up with you and da-da-da-da-da, we've seen this cat grow up on TV crying and all this stuff and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not about to go deep on this. Just because he's spoiled and shit, no, that doesn't mean that his trauma is not real. And it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be addressed. Understanding that it's going to be hard for a guy that used to sell crack and made it into the rap game and became a multi-millionaire and went literally from rags to fucking riches. Like literally from penitentiary chances, doing a few prison stints to being a multi-millionaire, being straight forever. It's going to be hard for him to empathize or even sympathize with somebody who has been rich their whole life and has had everything given to him. It's going to be hard for him to understand that. And that's something King has to understand. And King needs to express that to a fucking therapist or somebody more understanding. That's all that is. T.I. doesn't have to become the most understanding parent because, yeah, his perception and all of that or whatever. But listen, like, you don't have real issues like people in poverty. And I'm going to just leave that there. We're not going to go deeper than that. Let's get to the fun part.
I'm doing. You can't.
You just did it.
Don't tell,
you just did it, bro. You just did it. You just proved to me that you believe that a man can be a woman and you would accept someone's worldview even if it's lunacy. You just agreed to that.
For a second? Can I say something, sir?
But you just agreed to it. Admit that you just agreed to it. The example is here. Concede to it. Concede.
Can you stop talking for a second so we can have a conversation about that?
Concede that you believe a man can be a woman. And that you agree with the lunacy in America.
You just want to be right. Can you calm down?
How is that being right? You just said it.
Shit. You acting like a little child right now, bro.
No one's acting like a child, bro. If we was in person, you wouldn't even be speaking over me. Let's be honest. If we was in person, you wouldn't be speaking over me.
Okay. Why?
You wouldn't be speaking over me if we was in person.
Why?
Trust me, you wouldn't be speaking over me. You wouldn't.
Why?
You wouldn't even have the masculinity to be speaking over another man that's of my stature. You wouldn't.
Why?
You wouldn't be doing it. I know you wouldn't. I can see it in your eyes. Okay, you wouldn't do that.
Did I say we could have did this in person and you said no?
When did you say we could do it in person? I told you where I'm at.
On the phone. On the phone. Not on the phone, but in DM. I was like, where you at? I said, I'll come out of you. You said, no, we could just do this online.
I never said no. I said that you could come out the hair or we could do it online.
Because the thing about it, you
went
keep
on
saying
to another topic.
I wouldn't say something in person. I wanted to do this in person.
No, I'm saying that you wouldn't be cutting me off in person. That's totally different.
I would be doing what I be doing right now.
You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be.
I promise you I'll be doing that.
Okay, we're gonna have you on here and let's see if you do that in front of my face. We're gonna have you on here.
What would happen?
No, I'm just gonna let you know you wouldn't do it. I don't think you're man enough to even cut me off in person. That's what I'm telling you.
Nothing would happen if you did.
No, what I'm telling you is I don't think that you're man enough to even cut me off in person.
And I'm telling you that I would.
Because it's a much different experience when it comes to me debating girls.
I'm not.
It's a much totally different discussion with me debating girls. It's no tough guy stuff. I'm just telling you that this is my podcast. I gave you the rules.
Now that right there is a nigga moment, and the last thing that I don't like about Cooley, because it's like I've seen this multiple times over the internet. The whole like you wouldn't do this in person, blah blah blah, and sometimes it's warranted because the other person might really pop off or something like that. He might have been justified in some other videos. In this one, I'm gonna tell you how things escalated. Mr. LetGo said you're acting like a child. That triggered Cooley, and Cooley said you wouldn't even be. He got in tough guy mode. You wouldn't even be yelling over me in person. And it's like, bruh, Mr. LetGo handled it perfectly because that shit is just unnecessary. That shit is just unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. And to think that like, somebody would be afraid to have a heated debate. Like, this might be a hostile debate, but it wasn't, a hostile confrontation to where they just calling each other crazy names and disrespecting each other and nothing crazy like that. And see, this is the thing, because it's funny, I did the other video with the Saint in the Center, and then we got this video right here, and it's like, and you've seen Myron as well getting the shit like this and start threatening people online and stuff like Abba and Preach want to do boxing matches and shit after he fucking then did 8 months of like fucking Taibo training and shit. These dudes have horrible emotion regulation. And the funny thing is, and this is funny, just pay attention. I watch some of this shit in the white red pill spaces and things like that. You would be hard pressed to find one of the white creators trying to fight. You would be very hard pressed to find that, especially at the frequency that I see black creators trying to fight. It is insane. Now we could get into some whole like, it's the, how motherfuckers do on this show. Did he come up in a 2-parent household? Niggas could do all that shit. I'm not doing that shit, but listen, you remember when people was kicking the like stand on your square narrative and stuff like that, like you're supposed to be able to, be cool, calm, and collected in all situations. That shit is dead. That shit is dead. Cats will have debate shows and get so emotional that they go off the handle over just the teeniest bit of something. And I'm going to tell you, like, listen, I'll be in different settings, right? I'm in different settings with a lot of different types of people. I'm in different settings where men debate. I'm in settings where some of the guys may be actual thugs and shit like that. All types of guys, all walks of life. And I'm telling you something. And this isn't even about me. This isn't about me. So I'm not on no tough guy shit at all, because I'm not about to get on the internet and act like I done beat up 18 niggas last week or no weird shit like that. We not about to do the internet capping. What I'm saying is about the people in these spaces and things of that nature. The people that I'm talking about, shit could get really real. And the other thing is, it takes a lot for those people to go off the handle and then begin to make implied threats and things of that nature. It takes way more than what I've seen on these internet podcasts and stuff like that. And listen, I'm not even saying dude ain't tough. He could be super tough. He could be the toughest, man. I don't care. The whole thing is it's unnecessary to go there, especially over you're acting like a child and just yelling and you overtalk people through the whole episode, through the whole debate, and then when somebody yell about not getting a chance to speak, now it's time to start saying that people wouldn't do X, Y, Z in person and all of it. And it's like, bruh, I don't know. Maybe some of y'all, or maybe a lot of y'all, are entertained by nigga moments, man. But that's all I got today, man. I just think that shit is completely unnecessary, and I went over the things that I don't like about his content, and that pretty much sums it up, man. He run a good show. He be having some great clips, but like just the flaws be too much for me to really tune in personally. Like, so that's really it, man. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gone.